Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Feels like it's been a while. It's been like a month since we've had a show together, right? Isn't that how that works?
Yeah, about a month because I was sick last time.
Right, and Craig stepped in there. This is the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. As most of the time with me is the Kiera Hogan to my Tasha Steeles. It's Max, everybody. Max.
I'm still okay with that. Yeah, that's a good one. I like this. So far, recently, you've been giving me better portions of the tag team. Opposed to the...
Max, I opened my third eye. I took a hard shooting star press, and I realized that it was time to start being nice.
I appreciate that.
No, we're on a good streak. We're doing a lot of fun stuff with the channel, and we were actually just talking, guys, off camera about the TNAIW board game. I just did the first episode of This Old Wrestling Shit, which is an unboxing show and go over old TNA memorabilia, and pretty cool, to reminisce about something that was 12 years old. Literally, we have now opened it, or I haven't opened it in 12 years. Did you even play it with us?
I think I played one time.
I think that's the only time we played. So
you were either James.
So I thought I was Scott Hall, the drawing of, and I'll have to show you it. I believe he was Hogan because that makes sense. Plus the drawing was shitty. And then yours was RVD.
That would have made sense, yeah.
Okay, so I thought so, but I didn't want to say it on camera if I was wrong. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'll have to show you that. But
that's insane.
Guys, it is. It's crazy. It's literally. I was saying on the thing. It's like it's nostalgic for the sense of I played this with Max and James, but it's also even more sort of see a glimpse into TNA. That was the year where 2008 was Christian. That's who's on the cover. Christian.
Yeah.
Sting, Joe, and Styles, beautiful stuff. So, but yeah, guys, go check it out. Starting with that, and then what went down, and then now at the end of this as well, you guys will get another code word. You send that to us, you get a virtual raffle ticket, and you can win your own copy of the TNA DVD board game, along with shirts and all different cool prizes. So,
board games like that are always fun. Even if you go back, anything outside of actual pay-per-views that obviously happened during that time. But if you can find even if you go back into what would have been WWF, if you find board games or when they do cartoon or holiday specials, it's interesting to find those things because you see the wrestlers that they're okay, these were the big guys during those times. And it's always interesting to go back and look and see and that kind of stuff. So
it's definitely a glimpse into that era, and you get those things of either there's some eras where I actually look and I'm that gives me bad vibes of how anxious and crazy we all felt as fans at that point, but this is a really cool time, and I would love to play it. I said that on the episode that should be our next show of it. We just play it when we get together, because it's unlimited gameplay simply because it doesn't age. There's all different so it'd be really cool. But with that being said, and talking about nostalgia, we'll actually, once again, we're going to skip quick 7. We're going to do a different little bit of a format. So we're going to do our headlines and talk about that, but also bring some more fun to the show again and do the second half, do a little game. So this one, we're actually going to be doing something that we've been talking about since, I think, episode 1, 2, or 3. We're going to start picking our next tournament. So we'll be talking about that after the break. So I guess without rambling on anymore, let's go straight into headlines.
In this, I guess not week's headlines, episodes headlines. We've got 5 of them today. First one, AOP have just been released. Are they a team you'd be interested in joining Impact?
Those are the villains from Turtles 2. Is it Tokar and Razor? Is that?
Yes, I think so.
AOP authors of pick. After Jim Ellerling left, man, and they left NXT, they just it just didn't work, right? And then they did the thing with Drake Maverick, and that didn't work. I kind of like them with Seth, but once again, I'm not on the product enough to say, oh yeah, those guys suck or do not suck. I don't know. I don't wish anyone not to get a contract somewhere. I feel like we're building the tag team division, and they are bigger guys, so we kind of have that in Triple XL. But I'm gonna have to kind of pass it off to you because you watched NXT more avidly than I did.
Yeah. I loved them in NXT. In NXT, they were amazing.
Right.
But I kind of agree with you. When Ellering left, they kind of dropped off. They were with Seth Rollins and the greatest wrestler to ever live, Buddy Murphy. The problem was they were the tag team in that group, but Seth and Buddy were the tag team champions. Like,
right.
if you're like that, that just seems weird to me. Like, if you're the tag team, you should be the one that's so.
Well,
I think a lot of
fairness. I think.
And correct. I think that's the biggest issue. I think they had some injury issues, which is probably why they're not in WWE anymore. They're big guys. Vince should, get wood just looking at those guys size-wise. So they're everything that he wants in wrestlers. But because they were injured so much or so frequently, it caused them to lose any steam they had. So I think if you bring them in and you put them with a good mouthpiece, I think they would be great, but at the same time, can you trust them with injuries? Now, maybe it's
lighter.
Correct. I'll say maybe it was the schedule in WWE, they weren't used to it, because I don't think they had that many issues in NXT that I can remember of them being injured. So maybe a lighter schedule would help them, but I really think that you have to put them with a manager that can do their talking, because at least to me, that's what got them over in NXT.
Right, because in between the ropes they could go. It's just a matter of getting to those ropes by health wise, and then also the entertainment aspect of getting over. So I agree with you there, and that was my assessment without really knowing too much. And I didn't think it was fair to just say they're crap if I know they were pretty cool in NXT, at least what I remember. So anytime you can have a good hand come along, I guess you really have to really assess the situation's impact management. Are they a better big guy tag team than what you already have for X price or whatever, the analytics of it all? The problem I have with them, I think they have a cool look. I think they can go. The mouthpiece thing, I'm 100% with you on. The problem is, in a time where, I don't know what the landscape is, it seems like Impact's bringing more people in compared to letting people go. So if anyone, I would say they would bring, more people in, but you would have to bring in someone specifically to talk for them. Now, there's already wrestlers like Willie Mack, and luckily Moose is finding his own on the mic, but there's some wrestlers that already need a talking piece that could probably use it more. So why bring in another set if you don't really need a tag team enough to weigh out those odds? I'm in the air. I wouldn't be upset against it. I also don't put it past Impact Management. Besides for some other signings we could debate upon about the results and go, on a more human level compared to what was inside the ring and what they did. Putting that aside, they haven't made a bad signing that, in retrospect, I look back and say, why did they try that?
I agree.
I see why they did at the time, not knowing if they.
But he was huge for him while he was there.
Right.
So
it's so I really don't see that. Like, even when I was upset about Johnny Swinger, I was like, what the hell does he have to offer? They gave him something to offer, and he's one of my favorite characters on the show. Heath, I wasn't excited about him. He's my least favorite, and they're doing something with him where I'm actually interested. Brian Myers, I'm still on the fence with, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because this management team has not let me down in that regard.
Yeah.
So could they do something with him? Yeah, I think so. But is it worth the, you got to think risk reward, investing in it. If you get rid of Triple XL or push them to wayside to bring these guys in, you give them a push, they're over and they get injured or whatever it may be, Triple XL is already gone, so variables. That's what
I think I think you could, if you bring him in, I think you stick him with someone who can already talk, who maybe wants to form a stable. Like stick him with Eddie and let them be like, so basically someone who is going similar to what they did with Seth, where someone is the front man and then they're his tag team behind him. You could stick him with Eddie, you could stick him with one of the knockouts and still have and do something like that. But I do agree. I think if they add him, I'd be okay with it, but I don't think it's a must-have.
Yeah, agreed.
Headline number 2. Are there too many title changes taking place in Impact?
You mean on the I'm guessing he means in general.
Just in general. Yeah. I mean, we've seen Chris Bay won the title. He lost the title. Deonna Purrazzo won it, and then obviously Eddie, and then
won it, then lost it.
Yeah. And Motor City won it.
Yeah, so it's a lot. I'm not a fan of the constant moving title all the time, but I think it serves a purpose. At least in this scenario that we're in right now. But could I see where that Vince Russo, WWF, WCW mindset comes into play, and it's title change, and the prop becomes not important anymore and just a prop? Yeah, they got to be wary of that. But besides for the X Division title, where it went from Willie Mack, who really didn't get a chance, which I see what they're doing. They want to give Willie a different creative outlook, so had to get the belt off him. Then Chris Bay had it, and he's killing it. I think Chris Bay's over already without it. He doesn't need it. But it was cool for him to have it. You want him to have a nice run, but then you needed to sacrifice him to put Rohit over in that cool angle where you were surprised by Rohit. Same with Eddie. You wanted to give some stability to the title. He defended it each week, so there was a storyline of he worked hard, but it finally caught up to him. So in all these, I can make a point of why they happened. But you don't want it to become a habit, because the title loses its worth, for lack of better term.
Value, yeah.
Its value. And I like where what this management team has done in regards to establishing the belts of the worth of most of them. The world one we have been debated about because they felt like they gave it to anyone who was leaving. But I think we're on the right path. He gave it to Eddie Edwards, who defended each week, who is the franchise of this show, whatever way we look at it. And then Eric Young, who was a mainstay, who had a redemption story built in and is going to be there for the long term. So I feel comfortable where we are at with them. But I don't want to see it happen more often. It felt like it was a creative cycle that needed to happen for us to get to where we're going. So I get that. But for now on, I would like to see some more stability. Now, with the X Division title, I want to bring up, I think part of the exciting thing about the X Division back in the day was, even though the reigns were short, it was more that booking of Eddie style where they did with the heavyweight title, where you defended each week. You were 100 miles per hour, total nonstop action as soon as you stepped in the ring and the bell rang. So the belt could go to anyone, any night. That was kind of cool. It wasn't done in a hardcore 24/7 way where you in the back, but it gave you the mindset of like, these guys are young, hungry, and do anything to win. Let them go out there and bang, and then whoever wins. So I'm okay with that in that regard. But the higher up belts, I'm not really.
So I definitely agree with you. I think they've had a lot of changes, but I think a lot of them made sense. Obviously, the North had been champions forever, and it makes sense if you're bringing back Motor City for them to be the champions. Like, that made sense to me. Jordan Grace had been a champion for a while. Right. I think it made sense for her to lose it. Now, you can argue Gianna winning it that quickly, but I don't think a title change there it was an issue. Same thing with, like you said, with the X Division. It was really a great story that played out with Willie Mack. They want to do something else with Chris Bay winning it and then losing it. That was a great story, so I'm fine with that. And with Eddie, I think we had talked about it before, that Eddie might not have been their initial choice to win it before everything happened. So you have to give it to somebody, and you don't want to give it to somebody who's showing up on their first night, even if they're just coming back into the company. You don't want to give them that. So Eddie made sense, and now, like you said with EY, he had been a mainstay in TNA and Impact. It makes sense to him to have it. So I don't have any issues with the changes that happened, but I do agree that I don't want to see him continue to jump. I don't want EY to lose it in 2 weeks and then I don't want, I want there to be consistency for a while. And then when somebody loses it, you really feel like that next guy that won it or next woman that won it deserved to be champion and not just, oh, well, they're number, 17 in the last 3 weeks. Like, who cares?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with you there completely. I think we'll go more into the air or into the world titles. So I'll let that be.
Yeah, so I think I'm okay with the title changes that have happened so far, but I do agree that they need to make sure that the reigns now means something and not get into the habit of just change. Unless you're going to introduce something like a 24/7 championship that's literally a joke title that you literally just do a joke about random people winning it. So number 3.
TNA title serves that purpose a little bit. I mean, it's not a joke title, but you know what I mean? Like, it kind of...
Yeah. So, number 3, does Eddie dropping the title this soon hurt him in any way?
I knew it was coming. So this is about Eddie himself. No. If we're talking about Eddie and we're putting the title in the last topic and keeping it there, as far as it hurting Eddie, no, because what Eddie really is, and I've said this on What Went Down and I went into great detail, but you can look at this 2 ways, obviously. You could say, oh, well, he lost in so quickly, but if you actually watch each week and you put the thought into it and take it for what it is, you take all the real life stuff out of it and you look at it on television as a storyline. This guy won the title back for the whatever. He is the franchise of the company, no matter which way you look at it, no matter which period. And I love AJ and I love everyone who's been a placeholder, EC3, but Eddie's been there kind of through everything in between. So he wasn't there, he's there to the tail end of the good stuff, and he's there to reap the benefits of sticking with the company and being a do-gooder, or I don't know if do-gooder is the right term, but being a team player and believing in the company. So I always say, and I don't mean this in disrespect, I love Eddie. He's a good dude. I've followed him since day one of his career. But he doesn't have that, I won't say charisma, because I actually love the Eddie he is now. I think they really hit on to what what suits his personality, or he can portray easily and come off genuine. But Eddie he's not EC3.
Yeah.
He's not even Sammy, where you have like that built-in charisma of that's a main guy right there, right? That's no disrespect, Eddie. I believe him as champion. But kind of just like Sting, so I'm putting him in that sentence, and so that's no disrespect, because Sting's an icon. Sting was the franchise of WCW. Well, he didn't need that belt. He was win, lose, or draw. He was WCW.
He was Sting, yeah.
He was Sting. And I feel the same way about Eddie. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think he is there. He's not the face of the company, but the hands of the company, lifting it up when it needs to be lifted, and then holding the belt when it needs to be held.
It's like John Cena in WWE. Giving him the title gives the title credibility. Same thing with Sting. But when he doesn't have the title, he can do so much more. He can be used to lift somebody up by them beating him. He can be put in any storyline. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, or go out there and guarantee that you're going to have a good match. Like, okay, this guy's going to have a good match with Eddie Edwards because it's Eddie Edwards. So yeah, man, he's just in such a sweet spot right now, I feel, in his career, or at least Impact career, where you could tell me he's going for the X Division title and make it a viable storyline, and I'd believe it. He goes for the tag team championships again in some story, I'd believe it. Knockouts, for God's sakes. Okay, maybe not. But the believability of Eddie Edwards as the working man who wanted to bring stability and honor back to the world title, defend it each week, and took a beating each week. He wasn't beating fucking Norv Furnham. He was beating, like some names.
Yeah.
So Norv Furnham reference. I think it's like twice in a week. That's that. I don't even remember the other guy's name. Someone remembers, tweet us. Anyways, so he's beating some valuable names, and they're all tipping their hat to Eddie in a way, and and saying, okay, we'll do the job for Eddie, and he wins. But he's, so it was a well played storyline. If anything about the title loss, and it has nothing to do with Eddie, it was more so Eric winning it so early. I know there's more to it. I'm guessing they're going Rich and him at Bound for Glory. I'm glad EY got it. I talked about that and what went down about this guy needed to redeem his world title run in Impact because the first one was the shits. I'm okay with it. I'm okay on all parts besides maybe the Eric too early thing, but we'll see where that.
So he came into TNA at the time on January 16, 2014. Him and Richards appeared on the first episode of Genesis specials of Impact Wrestling in a backstage segment. So he's been there since 2014. And
with MB in England. Real quick though, so that actually is after Hogan and everything. Okay.
Yeah, so as part of their debut storyline, they revealed they had signed a contract with new investor in TNA. Their in-ring debut came the following week, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so.
Okay, so maybe they came at the tail end. Angle was still there. It was still there, though.
Yeah.
Well, there's some people still there. Okay.
Kurt Angle, Drew Galloway, Eli Drake was there.
Okay. So they were in an in-between stage, but still bigger enough to be in Phil. Where are they? Manchester, I'm guessing. They're in the Wembley.
I don't know. I have to look.
Yeah,
yeah, they beat the Bromans.
Okay, so okay.
So yeah, I mean, they were there. They won the greatest looking belts in wrestling history. So yeah, but no, I mean, like you say, he's been there for a long time. I don't think that it hurt him. I do agree that. He defended it every week. So anytime you have a champion like that, I think you have to have a shorter reign because even though it's not real sports, at some point wrestling every week, especially defending a title against top competition, it has to take its toll on you. Like, you see, they'll play into it sometimes when guys will get jumped and the next week they'll still be limping. But if you're wrestling a match every single week, that should take its toll on you. It should be a shorter reign. And what you're accomplishing is coming from the fact that you're defending it every week. Then I guess the number of defenses and not the length of time you've had the title. If you defended a title 10 times in a month, to me, that's more impressive than saying, I held it for 2.5 years and defended it twice. So it's kind of that type of thing where that's where you're getting your recognition for the title. So I don't have a problem with him losing it. The EY thing, I don't know. I mean, I like EY. I do think he needed to redeem his title from last time. I kind of agree with him coming in so early, but it's similar because he had that past history. Same thing if EC3 shows up, if AJ Styles shows up, if Joe would show up. I'd be completely okay with these guys coming in, similar with Motor City showing back up and winning it right away. Because they have that history, they don't come off as a new person. It's not like Anderson and Gallows coming in who were never in TNA together. They win the title on their second night there. Then you're like,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I feel like with him, it's more of just a continuation of his previous history and impact. So I'm okay with that. I do agree that it's probably going to be Eddie and Rich. I'm assuming, have they officially announced it?
Oh, Rich and
or not Rich and
Eric. Yeah,
Rich and Eric. Yeah, sorry, not Eddie. Rich and Eric.
I would assume.
Yeah, so that's what it's looking like. I'm hoping in that case though, you still have EY retain, just because I think if in that case, if he loses it again, now you're looking at that situation where you're like, okay, now we have a bunch of title changes pretty quickly.
Yeah, because Bound for Glory is in October.
So that would be my only concern there, is that if you're making this, what?
I think Rich would win.
I mean, I think he will, but that to me puts it close to the time frame of too many title changes too quickly.
Okay.
But I don't think it hurts Eddie. Now, if he does go for the knockouts, would it be Tina Edwards? Is that what he would go with?
No, you go for the knockouts tags with Alicia.
Okay, that would work. Okay, similar to how EY did it.
Edwards is.
Edwards is okay. That would work. That would be impressive. That would be hilarious. But still, so I don't think it really hurts him. But I think it just kind of depends on what happens next. I am interested to see though what he does next, and then what happens with the title next.
Right.
So next one, the Bound for Glory tagline is, "This world doesn't belong to them; it belongs to us." What do you think that means?
So I speculated what that meant, and I've been putting pieces together for the past all these hints and whatever, and you were right on some things, I was right on some things, I was wrong on a lot of things, but the hints are there. They're putting hints in, and what I told Craig on the show was they had Moose look at a map, okay, and he was trying to, like, EC3 was talking. He's like, "Find me where our story continues," or so whatever bullshit. And Moose goes, "I know where he is," and ripped it down near Maryland, which is where the ROH tapings were. So my thinking, and everyone said EC3 debuted for ROH the last set of tapings. So my thought was maybe EC3 took the bill. Pac had made some kind of relationship and mended the fence there, and Moose is going back to ROH to beat up EC3, and it's going to be on their show and vice versa. So they are known for calling themselves best in the world and whatever else. I wouldn't be surprised if New Japan, ROH, and Impact mended the fences all together at the same time enough for Bound for Glory. And the reason I say that, I wanted to say this a couple months ago, had you given me the same tagline. Well, with Anderson and Gallows there, and them doing the podcast again, Talking Shop with Talking Shop-a-Mania as well, with Rocky Romero, who is liaison essentially for the talent between the U.S. and New Japan. It just seems, and then Bully Ray being on board or off board, but talking about Impact a lot. I just think it all adds up to the possibility of that being there. And that being a real big middle finger. And this isn't my personal feelings. I'm just saying that New Japan, I would say ROH, and I would say Impact all kind of have a gripe with AEW. They kind of pulled the old Vince and raided the territory, and then started their own thing and kind of rubbed their noses. So I could see everyone being excited to gang up and cause some buzz for each other. But does that happen? I don't know. It could just be them saying, like, our time is now and whatever. I think Bound for Glory is going to be bigger than Slammiversary. I'm going to make that prediction. I'm sticking with my guns and saying Angle's going to have a match. I don't know why. I just feel that. It could be, who knows? It could be Team Canada finally getting together with Eric Young since he's in the commercial. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities. The only problem I have with it is that I'll do this, which is overanalyze and come to some conspiracy theory, and I'll be so hyped that even though the pay-per-view is great, then I'm overthinking it. So I'm gonna back off, but that's what I would say. I would hope is insinuated.
Okay, so I mean, I think that would be awesome if they did team up with ROH and New Japan, primarily New Japan. I don't even know who is still in ROH.
I think the rub is the thing,
yeah, possibly. But I definitely do agree. I do think it is if not a full shot, a minor shot at both AEW and WWE, to the extent of, look, like, this is like, we are the stars. Like, this is weird. I mean, granted, you're not just as big as those companies, but they're saying they are. We have the talent. We have, we're just as good as you guys, or we're better than you guys. And if you look at it, I mean, unfortunately, AEW hasn't laid off a bunch of people. Instead, they're just cutting people from the Jaguars to pay for the bills, as opposed to cutting people from AEW.
Foreigners. They've cut some foreigners.
So, but WWE is laying people off left and right. So, and a lot of those guys they've come to Impact as kind of a look. We're going to show you that we're, we belong. So I do definitely think it is a, look how good we are. And not just for those guys who left WWE, but for everybody in Impact. Like, hey, look how good we are. Like, it's not AEW, it's not WWE. We are the best company in the world. Now, if they team up with New Japan and ROH, I think it's still a similar thing. Our three companies, we are whatever we create, the, Impact, new Impact,
Honor,
whatever. Yeah, New Impact, whatever the hell they decide to call themselves. But look at how great we are as a group. New Ring of Impact. There you go. But yeah, whatever it is, I do agree that it's look how good we are as a group. We are the best in the world, not you guys.
No, I think, you're saying it a more eloquently way. I agree with you there. I think not necessarily is it going to be an invasion, but it's we are. Look at us. It's our time. And rightfully so. And if Uncle Alan does come, as the people keep mentioning, including all three of them, in some way or fashion, that would be a huge turning point. Could you see Impact backing up their words? Yeah, I see them backing up their words even without Uncle Alan there. So
here's the thing I will say real quick. Yeah. WWE just did something that I think is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. They basically told all their talent that you can no longer do any third-party venture. So someone like Big E, who apparently I read that he does the whole like celebrity VM thing where he makes things. He charges like $150 to $200 a episode. He does like 8 or 10 of those a day and just knocks them out. So he's not allowed to do that. You have all your guys who are streaming, who are on Twitch and stuff. I know
Xavier.
I would say, Consequences Creed. Xavier Woods. There's a lot of other people who do that stuff who aren't going to be allowed to do it. So to me, that's when guys' contracts are up, they're going to start realizing, like, look, I was making, especially someone like Big E, who was probably making 6 figures doing this thing. Is me losing that going to cause me to go someplace else? I think that's something that you got to look at. And if Impact's okay with people doing that, go for it.
And see, that's the thing is, I understand as a business person in that mindset of why Vince is saying this, because if their next stage of development is going to be an investment in those things and those avenues with talent, I don't know if they're going to go to fucking kids' birthday parties for God's sakes, but celeb VMs and all those videos and what's the other one's called? They won't do masterclass, but like those on.
Yeah, but like Twitch and stuff, they can't stream on Twitch.
It's Cameo, YouTube, anything. And that sucks for someone, especially with Consequences Creed, who, that's what we'll call him, who has done that since day one.
Yeah.
And then to say you own, I know it's a different topic and I won't ramble, but they say we own your real names too, which I don't think that's what he means. I think he means the fact that you work for me, you're an employee, blah, blah, blah. But the independent contractor.
They're an independent contractor, though. They're not an employee.
So that's where it's going to fall weird. And I agree with you there. If these people that are bigger names do get out of their contracts or decide to leave, and then no matter if that's New Japan, ROH, Impact, AEW, or beyond, the wrestling landscape will change.
Yes.
And yes, there are TV deals, and those mean a lot. But WWE is a machine. I don't care what you guys say. They'll average around 2 million viewers no matter what. If they have a hot streak, they'll average more, but they'll never average less. And if they average less, it's only because there's more subscriptions or more on-demand plays or DVR or whatever. It just that's the way it is right now, especially. But with that being said, I could see a point where Vince finally says, if he's the one still in charge, says, no, it's my way or the highway. This is a platform just like anything else. Like, we control this platform. Yes, you are talented, but you go create your own narrative, for lack of better terms, elsewhere, and go do you. We can create someone new tomorrow. And, once you have that machine behind you, if you like it or not, and in Roman's way, it, I think, hurt him, because I think real life he's a likable dude. But if you can't be yourself outside of the WWE machine, how are you going to be someone else when you leave that company? So that's tough. It's tough. And I hope someone like an Allen and AJ Styles says, I you know what? Between the contract they give me in Impact and the contract, or the money I get from Cameo and Twitch and YouTube or whatever the hell else he does,
gonna make up for it. So not only that, but you look at I think the New Day is a perfect example. They got over being themselves. So when you see Big E on Cameo, it's the Big E character. Now, that may not be how he is in real life, but from everything I've seen, obviously it's turned up, but same thing with Xavier Woods and all those guys are themselves. And I think someone on Reddit brought it up that WWE's, obviously their viewership is still 2 million people, but they're hurting with the younger crowd. What's the best way to get younger crowd involved is, oh, I saw Austin Creed on Twitch streaming, playing video games. Oh, he's a wrestler? Well, I really liked him there. Let me watch this. So that's the thing that you're losing. And I am interested to see if some of the bigger stars, obviously some dude in, NXT who's just trying to make it isn't going to do it. But I want to see if someone like Big E or AJ Styles or, Xavier Woods basically says, when they say, hey, you got to quit in 30 days, go fuck yourself. I'm an independent contractor. If you want to limit the things that I can do like this that aren't wrestling related, you need to make me a full-time employee. Kiss my ass and let's see what happens. Because here's the thing. I don't think this is Triple H. I think this is Vince. At least in my opinion, Triple H has a better understanding of the things that are going on now. Because you look at who he brought into NXT, you look at how some of these stars were made in NXT, and then when they go to the main roster under Vince, they just flame out and die. So I'm interested to see if, because of how old Vince is, some of these guys say, screw you, I'm going to go to New Japan, TNA, AEW. And then when Vince leaves and Triple H is involved, if they're like, hey, I'm just going to come back in and everything's fine again because you're not the one in charge.
Well, so we can move on to top 5. So we got a little off course, but it all does go to that. Is the world, if they knock this out of the park after having a really buzzworthy Slammiversary, and they grow even more, they're going to finally make their mark known. And if all these perfect events happen at the same time, where these people leave because of that, and they say, you know what? Impact's the place I get more creative freedom. Like, Miro's still out there, Rusev is still out there. I think he goes to AEW, but there are employees or whatever that still know that they could do better elsewhere. Okay, and it's time as an Impact fan to maybe also start realizing that the world is ours as well. I see a lot of arguing still. I see a lot of us being sensitive to things. Dude, Good Brothers chose Impact.
Yeah.
Heath and Myers, for whatever you say about, chose Impact. Deanna chose Impact. Tennille chose Impact. Kylie chose Impact. These were the days of us feeling like we're less. In conclusion, maybe that's what it's about too. The world is ours. And block up the noise, enjoy it. We're in a great period. That's what I have to say. Moving on.
Possible. So, number 5, I got to pull it up again because it closed. Do you think some of the talent aren't as invested in Impact as they once were?
Okay. I know where this is coming from. I actually told him, we talked about it on the other show too, kind of, but more off camera. I told him that he doesn't, his example was he's not invested in TNAIW because she's not invested in the company. She rarely retweets. She doesn't have them in their bio. And that to him says she's uninterested in bragging or showing she's a part of Impact. Now I say on the other side, one, I don't know Australian character traits. I know if in the States we did that, it would be a big screw you. So I don't know if in where she's from, so maybe there's a loss in translation. I'm going to give that benefit of the doubt. I want to say that first because I can't assume everyone's like us, brash, stupid American. But with that being said, if we were to hold her, that is being the variable that says this person is or is not for Impact. We have to go down a long list. Jordan doesn't have it in hers. Ethan Page doesn't have it in hers. Maybe I think Sammy does, Moose does, but I would say more than half the roster does not. And that's partially about what we're talking about too, about them building their brand outside of it. What could you take it as they're not paying me enough to sponsor the own company I work for? That's pretty shitty. So if it is that, and it is people not being as interested in Impact or hoping it succeeds, it's kind of shitty and douchey to think of. I prefer my Impact stars to have an investment and have at least a mention in their bio because they are brand ambassadors. And if your brand ambassador won't have your company's name in there, it's I don't know if it's a red flag. I guess it depends on the circumstance. What I would like to have, and this goes back to what I just said about, we got all these new guys to come in. We have to start showing we could keep them as well. So maybe that plays into this. But the last thing I'll say on it before I shoot it over to you is that it's a different era. I don't know how to explain. Like, in our day, if you were WCW, you rolled, your flag, and you were, a Pied Piper for them. Loyalty is different now. Look at NBA. Look at any other team. You do what's best for you and your contract, or you and your family and your brand, not necessarily a Lakers or Celtics or those power teams that always get the same. So no one really stays with their team, let alone company, for their life. It's just rare. With that being said, it's kind of hard to invest them on television if I think they're already hoping to go to AEW.
No, I agree with that. So I was looking at TNAIW's stuff while you were talking. So her Instagram is basically a lot of very, very few of it is wrestling pictures. It's a lot of her just her life and stuff she does. Now, she did post one picture 5 days ago when I'm back. Best episode of Impact Wrestling I've seen in a long time. Same thing with on Twitter. Impact had posted this division and linked a picture of all the knockouts, and she responded this division and replaced it with just a bunch of pictures of herself. So she does have stuff, like a lot of her Twitter stuff is Impact Wrestling based, but a lot of it's also just her general life. So I think it's more, at least for her, and I think some wrestlers as well, some of them want their Twitter and Instagram persona to be their wrestling persona. I am on Instagram who I am in the ring. So basically when I insult people, like Kevin Owens will insult people, and then sometimes he's normal Kevin Owens. Whereas I think with her, a lot of it's more just her life, not wrestling related. So if you're making your Twitter and Instagram around your daily life, not wrestling related, I think it makes sense not to go super hard on the Impact stuff, because if you get a situation where when she was a free agent and she's just kind of doing everything, she's still going to post her general life stuff. I got a new house. So I think right. That's the difference. I think some of the people are maybe when they're at Impact, when they're wrestling, they're invested, but their online social media stuff is just them. Like, hey, right. I'm more than just a wrestler. This is what I do in my general life.
That's fair. So this generation is treating it as a job.
Correct. Whereas
I think that's where the disconnect comes from. The question and the fans, or the mindsets rather, is for me, someone who's an old schooler, it's like, man, those Stings or those Eddie Edwards now that stick with the company and are there through thick and thin, and you're always going to get that person, is few and far between. And some of that's for the better, some of that's for the worse. But a lot of these newer people in the business view this as a job that they like. And some, of course, it's their passion, and that's the Eddie Edwards in the world. It's hard because the problem I have with answering this is, yes, I would love for them to be more invested. Personally, I would love to see Impact blasted over all of their stuff, but I understand them separating the two. It's just when it's someone with AEW, they're with AEW. It's fine. Yeah. It's everywhere. The thing with that, though, is the reach of AEW in the sense of television makes them. I mean, Reggie Miller is talking about Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus right before they cut away in the basketball playoffs. So do you know what I mean? So you are going to brag about that, I think, a little bit more. While the other people are still trying to find their niche and whatever it may be. But so personally, I would like for it to happen. Do I think it's about investing in Impact on their part? Not necessarily. Maybe some cases, but for all intents and purposes, everything I hear about backstage is that this roster is stoked and ready to make sure this company moves to the next step. So does that contradict it? It depends on how you look at it.
I mean, I think back in the day, like obviously Monday Night Wars, even before, like kayfabe was a huge thing. People stuck to that. You obviously had the NWO take over Jay Leno's show and things like that. Whereas now it's almost like someone who's on Friends. Yeah, they love the show they're on. They're gonna put their as hard of work as possible as they can into it. But when they're not on that show, Jennifer Aniston isn't going to tweet like she's Rachel from Friends. She's going to tweet like she's Jennifer Aniston. So that's kind of the thing where I think it's the way people look at it now is they're like, the character I am when I'm on Impact is a character I play. Whereas back in the day, maybe Hulk Hogan was that guy. Right. That's who I'm going to act like that through thick and thin. I'm not going to ride with my friend to shows because on TV we're feuding. Whereas now, like Mandy and Sonya in WWE were feuding, and then some creepy dude broke into Sonya's house, and Mandy was there hanging out. So it's that kind of thing where you have where they say, hey, like this is a character I play. It's not my life. Whereas some other guys like Jericho, who has grown up in that time, he's going to live it because that's what he does.
Fine.
Yeah, so he's going to blur that line because that Jericho character he's done it for so long. So I think that's kind of where you see the divide. So I don't think it necessarily means they're all in. I just think it could possibly mean that they're saying, hey, this is a character I play, and on Twitter and stuff, I want to show people my real life. And every once in a while, I'll cross the line as opposed to my Twitter persona is
Ethan Page.
Is Ethan Page or the character I am online. So
it's fair. All right. I'm cool with that. That was cool. So we got a little bit of time left. I don't want to waste it. So we're going to go to a commercial for the show I mentioned earlier. And then right when we get out of that, we'll announce our next tournament. So mentioned earlier, talking about nostalgia and different things. And if you guys have followed us since day 1, 2, 3, somewhere around there, we started our never-ending X Division, best X Division champion in history tournament that you guys voted on. And the winner ended up being AJ Styles.
AJ Styles, as always.
Well, we'll see. So we'll see. But instead of doing titles, so we don't just get AJ as the answer. We're going to do something we have been talking about and kind of partner with Kristen and I show as well, the TNA Jam show. We're going to do theme songs finally. Best TNA Impact theme songs of all time. And in this little time we have left here, we brought 5, 6, 7 to the table, and we're going to see, we're going to nominate our first ones, and then see if we have some correlating ones. And then, of course, these won't be the final ones, but these will be definitely in the tournament. And then you guys obviously will add the rest for us. So, all right, Max, I'm sure we can say what your first one is.
It's good. Once again, AJ is going to be back-to-back winner in these things because he also has the best theme song. And Get Ready to Fly is my first nomination.
Is Get Ready to Fly. Okay.
Like the old one, not the original one that he had. His later one. He had a couple versions of it.
Oh, his later one, not the original. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. My first one is, I'm trying to think of ones that I didn't think you would do, but I have some mixed in there. Is Jeff Jarrett.
Okay, I like Jeff Jarrett's.
You know, say what you will about Jeff Jarrett, but it's an iconic. When you watch TNA and you heard that, you know, ha ha ha, you're like, oh, it's Jeff Jarrett. You know, it's just one of the first. I think AJ and Double J are the first two theme songs that were like, oh, they're vesting in theme songs. So cool. All right, so we got 2 nominations so far.
So my second nomination is going to be it really is one of my all-time favorite theme songs, is Mick Foley's theme song.
You know, I have that on here, and I
love that theme song.
It is a damn good song, and it is very good. And I said this on the wrestling shit show. My old wrestling stuff. The TNA board game is a glimpse of like literally right before Mick joins, and that Cross the Line theme song. They also did, I think, Suicides as well. Whatever that band was, did Mick Foley's, and it's Have a Nice Day, right? Bang Bang.
Bang Bang is what it is.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Next is a classic. You know, I have some obscure ones too that are newer. I promise. But next one, I went with Beer Money.
I had them as well.
You can't go wrong with Little Beer Money. And especially that music became so iconic because obviously it became their, you know, that they lift their arms and do the beer money thing. And it played into that. But the original version of it was just literally a blending of their 2 single songs, and then they added music to it. So just a really cool history to that, and really dope.
So I'm going to go with one here that may surprise you. I'm going to go with Mike Bennett's theme song.
You know what? I want, like, as in a iconic song, it's got a nice, you know who it is, and that's what really builds, you know, so we'll put that in the running. You know, there needs to be lower seating.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when you told me this, you told me it last night to look up songs. I was looking, I obviously grabbed some, like, ones that hit me real fast. I like that, but I was looking for some other songs. I was like, what are some other interesting songs that I like that I may not have initially thought about?
You say thong songs?
Yeah, I do love the thong song. What are some songs that I thought about, like, that I liked that I didn't immediately come to my head? And that was one of the ones when I was doing my research. I was like, that's a really good song.
I'm going to throw one out there too then. This isn't as obscure, I mean, because that's a smaller time frame. This guy lasted a little bit longer, but Mr. Anderson.
I liked Mr. Anderson's theme song.
There's just something when that hits, you're just like, oh, yes, okay. You know, you have an instant, for better or worse, reaction. Even if you're the casual viewer of Impact, you could, okay, that's Mr. You know, like, you know who he is. So I like that. So you're next up here.
I'll go with Motor City Machine Guns.
That's my next up. You can't go wrong. It's still a banger. You hear it being played, and you're ready for whatever. It's just one of those things where it hypes you up before they even step foot out. And you need that. Dope. All right. I'm gonna play. Okay, I'll do this one next because it's hard to EC3.
I had that one too. Yeah, it's such a good theme song.
Honestly, I could see EC3 taking it. I could see him as a top seed in this.
That's a good one, yeah.
so easy to talk, to sing together. It's I don't know. All right. What do you got?
Kurt Angle.
Yes, I have that on there. Kristen gave it 1 star, I believe, on the show.
Wow.
Not a big fan of trademarking Kurt Angle's song there. I, on the other hand, think it's amazing. And if he comes back, if his theme song plays, the lights go off theme, and he comes through the stage like he used to with the American flag, I'll shit my pants. I will. And I will tape it. And I'll sell it like Tessa. Sorry, that's horrible. All right, anyways, who you got, buddy? Who you got?
I just said Kurt Angle.
That was you with Angle. I can't. LAX, man. Any version, don't care which one, but there's one obviously that's more iconic with the Homicide and Hernandez version. Conan, that's the one we'll go with. It's a banger. It's a banger.
Now, this is a different one. I don't know if it's going to get a lot of hype, but I do like it. And that's Madison Rain's Killer Queen.
I think that's a good one. I think it's one of those ones where not only did it fit her character at the time, but also it gave her a song to make her seem important, which was important for her just leaving the beautiful people and such. And it's also one that everyone wants to hear again. Like everyone's like, oh, why you got this song Killer Queen on it? So
Beautiful People's theme, not good.
You don't like it?
I do not like it.
I think it was fitting for them. And we'll leave that up. I didn't leave that on there because I'll leave that up to them to decide certain other ones. But we're at 13. We'll try to get to at least 20 here, and then we'll save it for another day. So you just said that. I'm going to go with Sting. There's something about
Sting's is good.
It's just it's iconic and pun intended. It's an icon. So we're at 14. We each get 3 more.
Curry Man.
I'm not gonna. Okay, because of the criteria in which we're grading these, which is nostalgic, rings a bell as soon as you hear it. It puts you in a place, and you know who the hell's coming out. And he's hot and he's spicy and he tastes great.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't rank it like the best, but it does. It's one of those things where you're like, oh, that's
It's worth an upset try. It could try underdog sleeper pick. Let's see. I'm gonna be smart here. I know fans are gonna pick a lot more, but I want to mention one this because it's a guilty pleasure of mine now, and I'm gonna go with Sammy's. Sammy's new one, his new entrance. From the loading screen to the lighting to the music, it is one of the best entrances in wrestling right now. As a inspiring cinematographer, like seeing like just the time, everything, it's just beautiful. I could go on all day about the masterpiece that is that theme song. Anyways,
I think the one I'm about to name is, I don't think we've mentioned it. I think it's going to end up being a number 1 or at minimum a number 2 seed.
Okay.
Abyss.
Okay. That's fair. And we're not talking Hulkamania Abyss. We're talking
I'm talking original Abyss.
Yeah, that is iconic. That song is iconic. And it's so cool because that song I've heard for me 4 other wrestlers before Abyss had it. From Monty Brown to, I even think, Amazing Red, some random people. So it was cool.
The Johnsons, I think, may have had it.
Yeah, you had to work them in here. So. But no, great pick. I'm going to go with, keeping in that, another version of Abyss's song. I'm going to go with Decay.
Decay's a really good one, too, yeah.
Military and Decay song. It is a real newer but more iconic song that I really dig there. So.
What are we at?
I think we're at 18, so we each got one more.
Each got one more. I'm going to go with Winter.
Really?
I really like her song.
It's a catchy song. I don't know if I would.
Once again, I don't think it's going to win it, but I think so here's the thing. A lot of people, when we do this, people are going to see the song name, and they're actually going to go listen to the song, and then you're going to realize, like, there are some people, like, Jesse Neal's song that I think is
Ink one.
Ink one. Yeah, it's an interesting song. Like you may not like the character, but like I really like Winter's song, and that's why.
That's fair, and I did like Winter, but I get exactly what you're saying because Ink isn't something that was for me. It was,
Yeah.
I was glad.
I think it was originally actually Shannon Moore's song, and then it just became Ink.
Yeah. But it was just it fit the characters, although not my favorite. It fit them, and
yeah.
Just like I'm not going to nominate them, but just like the bromance, So I think there's some obscure ones that need to take these 15th or 20th seeds. So I think that plays a role. Are we really only doing one more? That sucks. I could talk about this for hours.
We can do more if you want.
We got 2 more minutes. So let's each do. I'll do 3 more. You do 2 more.
Okay.
That's where we left off. I'm gonna go with another newer one. I'm gonna go with Moose. His new one is just his entrance is beautiful.
See, the problem is the Moose part isn't actually part of his song, is it?
It is now.
It is now.
A little, yeah. They put it back in slightly. You can hear it.
Because I always liked that part, but I didn't actually think it was officially part of his song.
Kristen's favorite.
I know, as Kristen's favorite wrestler. I am gonna go with Christian Cage.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I like Christian's a lot.
That is a very good one.
I actually really like his music in WWE too. I thought his is someone.
Christian's anywhere, yeah, is great. The opera one, Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I got 3 more to give. Oof, there's so many I want to make sure are in here because I'm gonna leave the rest up to the fans of the old show here, the old viewers. And I'm stalling for time because I don't know who I want to nominate. There's only 3 more. Yeah, I'll go. Main Event Mafia. Main Event Mafia.
Okay.
It's a time period, and it's not a great song, but you know what's coming, and it fits exactly what you're expecting. So I like Main Event Mafia.
So I wouldn't call this one of my favorite songs, but once again, when we're going with iconic, as soon as you hear it, you know who's coming.
Right.
RVD. The whole
original?
fucking show.
RVD. It is. It's and you know who's coming out.
Yeah, you know who's coming out. It's basically like, that's his. There you go.
I gotta get this in there. Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Not KM Samoa Joe, but Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe. That asshole took his song. All right, so what is it? 2 more for you? 1 more for you?
Yeah, 1 more for me. And I'm going to pick this song mostly because I love this tag team. I don't necessarily think it's maybe the greatest theme song, but I think at this point, they were at their best. I'm going to go with Bad Influence.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I can see that.
I loved them as a tag team. I loved what they were at that point. And I just think that
I got to hear the theme song again because it's one I actually don't really remember.
Yeah, I was looking it up. It's not super memorable. It doesn't have any words, but it's a solid song, and it's just I really like. I think it's a good song. I think it kind of fits their attitude when they were entering. So
I originally was going to say, but now that you nominated him for that, we'll see where that plays. But I was going to say Christopher Daniels, but Fallen Angel one.
I was thinking about that one as well. I thought maybe that one may get nominated. That's a really good one as well.
Even Monty Brown. There's so many Sabu's I think's great, and then it became Bully Ray's a different version. But I want to nominate. I got to get this. Mickey James. Hardcore Country.
Yeah.
It's something as soon as she comes out. So, wow. So we'll do a few more. A lot of these were actually played on TNL Light TNA Jams, but on our next episode, we're actually going to nominate a few more there as well that we've already played on that show. But this is a cool base. We don't know seeding yet. We'll have a show for that as soon as you guys nominate yours. We'll put a poll up or a survey and let you guys start narrowing down the field. We'll do what is it? What's NCAA? 64?
They are. Let me look here. I think it may be 64. Yes.
64? All right. So maybe we'll shoot around there.
Yeah, 64. Well, I think it's technically 68 if you include the play-ins, but whatever. 64 ones.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 through 4 seeds are 1 through 16.
All right. Well, we'll figure that out, guys. I hope you had a good time reminiscing on that. Go watch this old wrestling shit and see the TNA board game that you have a chance to win. Right after we say goodbye, you're going to see the code word for this episode. All you literally do, since you watch the episode anyways, is DM us that word. That's it. You get that, we'll send you back a virtual raffle ticket, and you have a chance to win a banging crate for September. So really cool there. Be excited for this. I'm excited to do a tournament again. It was always fun doing that, and to do it about the music finally is exciting. I'm excited to see the where the bracketology plays into this. So it was fun. It was good talking to you, obviously.
Good talking to you too.
Yeah, it's been too long. I got engaged, and I said it was a co-host of one of the TNA channel shows, and they thought it was you. So
all right, there you go.
Anyway, I guess we're engaged. All right, buddy. But yeah, it was fun. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy those shows. Write us, win your raffle ticket.
Later, guys.
Bye.